I think I will.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay.
All right.
Guess we knew that 3 times. Welcome to our show, everybody. I'm Aley from Heart and Soul Connected, here with Nancy Jean from Nancy Jean's Garden. And Deb, Purple Elephant, is here today as well. And our friend Diana Boles, known as Oil Painter, is also joining us today. We were going to have Valerie from Illumination Portal, but she's has to bow out today because COVID is in her house, and so she's dealing with that. So I want to send lots of love and light to Valerie.
Yes.
Lots of it. Lots of it. So I kind of riffed off a brainchild of Nancy Jean. She does daily. What is it that you do? Daily.
We used to do daily duos, but now we do weeklies.
Weeklies.
So,
Yes.
So once a week, from Sunday through Saturday, and I do it with Jeffrey Right Color.
That's right, and it's called Weekly
Wanderings.
Weekly Wanderings. So when I was talking to her, I said, have you thought about doing monthly musings? So that's kind of how this came up. And it was the hope that we could all share our wisdom of the month that we are currently in and how that's gone for us at the end of the month, and sort of a way of looking forward into the next month and seeing what we might be coming up with. And of course, coming up is a very, very powerful Lion's Gate that actually, I think it started the 26th of July and it goes until the 12th of August, I think. Right. So I'm going to let you, Nancy, and Diana, because Diana's also the astrologer here, talk about, and Deb, if you have something to say, I don't want to exclude you, talk about that whole idea and what that means. What does it mean to people?
Well,
Nancy,
no, you can go, because as I keep telling people, I know just enough astrology to be dangerous.
well, today is July 28th, so let's open the door for your new dangers.
Okay.
It's the new moon. Today is
The new moon.
Today's the new moon.
The new moon will
Right.
be when we're taping this. The new moon will be in about 50 minutes.
right. Depending on your time zone. For me, it'll be 1:55 because I'm in Michigan.
Right.
And
And
I'm 12:55 because you're
Right.
in that part of Michigan that's not in the same.
So I must be 11:55 or no, 10:55.
10:55 for you. And then later on tonight at around 8 o'clock Eastern, the moon's going to put a trine to Jupiter. Bigger, bigger, right? However, we are also have Mercury squaring Uranus. So
Okay.
everybody, especially through all of this time, to remember to think twice, act once. Think twice, speak once, especially during this square between Mercury and Uranus. Speak once, otherwise tomorrow when you're sitting and recounting yesterday, it'll be the day of ramification because you're gonna go,
You opened your mouth and you didn't think.
did that come out of my mouth? Did I really say that? So you
Wow.
guys have to check me because I'm the Gemini in this crowd, right?
Okay, it's
So,
okay.
and be careful not to over dramatize things because of course Leo is about the sun and the heart and drama. He's the actor of the zodiac. So and so that opening up right now, Jupiter is also going retrograde. So this retrograde energy is also, he stations today.
Okay.
So,
Not going to move again for a while, or?
well, the stations, he's stay put for, he's going to be moving slowly as he starts to go backwards.
Yeah.
And by the end of August, all the big guys and Chiron, so there will be 5 planets out in retrograde.
Okay.
So Jupiter, Uranus, which is retrograde right now. Let me look at the written notes because no, it's not right there. Anyway, Pluto retrograde, Uranus retrograde, Jupiter retrograde, Saturn retrograde, and Chiron retrograde. I'm sorry, Neptune, not Saturn, Neptune and Chiron. So these energies we're going to have to iron out over and over again. And as Barack Obama would say, the sun is the disinfectant. So this is a good time to bring things out into the light, to stand in the truth, to speak the truth, you know, to stand in that light, to plant seeds. This is the time of the, not that you can't transplant, because transplanting also gives you new seeds, but this is anything that you want to begin to materialize, especially in the next 9 months. If you think about the human gestation, in the next 9 months, the seeds we plant now, you should begin to be able to see fruition on those things.
Wow.
And this is also, it's Lamas, right? Nancy
Right.
Jean?
It's
August
half
1st.
the day that's halfway between the two, between the summer solstice and the equinox. Yeah.
So the tomatoes are starting to turn red. I just had a dripping tomato sandwich out of my garden.
Oh, good.
My first this size tomato. And yeah, I had to wipe my face for sure before he came on. Yeah, so harvest is beginning now as well. You're, you know, like it's cut back some of the flowers, especially your spring stuff, and get out in the garden, start composting. Compost takes a good 2 years. So this is a good time to really think about healing Gaia. Because if we do things on a, you know, one backyard dealy bob, we can still see the same kind of results as if the world were in on the thing. Because what we do, the sponge is going to soak up and spread around.
That's great. Yeah. Start local.
Right.
Absolutely.
Think cosmically, as Rick Levine would say, think cosmically, act locally.
Right. Well, that's great to know. I remember when I was talking with you earlier in the month, Nancy Jean, that you were talking about this week we're in, and how many things that were going to be changing this week.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about?
The new moon that we were just discussing is a very powerful one, because it's within 48 hours of when we have it, we go into the absolute in tight conjunction of the North Node, Mars and Uranus. And if it's at 10 degrees of Taurus. So if you know where that is on your chart, if you've ever done any, you can go to astro.com and you can see where that falls in your chart. And what's most important with this kind of an activation is what house it's in. And in my chart, it happens to be in the 10th house. And so it's all about new partnerships, new ways of seeing the collaborative people I work with. All that kind of stuff is going to come back.
Perfect for you right here. Yeah.
And it's really true, because when I was looking at that this morning, because I have a astrology app that I like a lot. It's on my phone. It's called Astro Matrix. I like it because not only I know I did study astrology enough to know if a chart's right. I mean, I know how to, if I can put my own chart in and it gives me the right answer. That's one thing I would tell people. If you don't get anything else done, get a good chart, get someone who knows what they're doing to draw it up for you, because if they screw it up, I mean, I had a friend and we kept reading her stuff and I'm going, something's wrong here. And then she found out she had the wrong birth time.
Oh dear.
And yeah, just a small problem there. But
right.
The house is, so if you're going to have this giant explosion of energy, and this is the place you're going to see it the most. And I kept wondering, last month for me was a very quiet month as far as work and some other stuff. It went along okay, but it's like I would start to plan things and then they would just not work, or they would fall apart. Or in the case of, you know, one person I was supposed to meet with to read, I just got a terrible headache that day. and I won't work when I don't feel well.
No, you shouldn't. Yeah.
But anyway, but all of a sudden I realized, well, all that quietness is about to burst forth. I'm going to Colorado next week to meet with some people about some stuff. I had Celtic Tarot here, Sheila, for a week, and in the heat.
Yeah.
We started that thing. It was supposed to be our Beto stalking tour. We're going to track him down so you can see him in the flesh. And by the end, we never got a hold of him. We thought we were going to an event he was at, and it ended up it was something else. And so finally, after she left, she was here when it was like 106. And so we called it her Texas Sweat Lodge tour. But I think it's a break for her to get, out of, makes her appreciate the mountains more than ever. But there's just a lot of things I can feel are moving. And I've been doing several different readings. I do several different things, and we'll show my garden in a minute. But I started out reading cards as a kid. I read cards, read pendulums, studied astrology. And then some wandered into crystals in 2018. And that's been where I stick more with stones and crystals now, although I still read a lot. But all the people I'm reading, and I mean, people are just popping up. Somebody gave them my name and they contact me. I did 2 readings like that the other day. And both these women were saying, I can't figure out what's wrong with me. I know I need to make a move. I'm all wound up. Where am I going? And there are lots of just that. And if you're feeling like that, you're just responding to what's going on up in the sky. And I will tell you, this conjunction on the 31st or 1st, depending on where you live in the world, my gut feeling about this has been, since I started reading about it a while ago, it's the same feeling I had when people kept saying these 3 giant planets are getting together on the 12th of January. And I would talk to people at my table about a little bit about those sorts of things. And I was at a guy's birthday party, and his birthday was the 12th of January. And I said, what kind of changes is your life going through? Because when you track back, when those 3 planets got together before, it was the day that Martin Luther put the 100 treatises on the cathedral door and started the Reformation. I mean, it's never small stuff.
Never small. Yeah.
Never small.
Yeah.
And so this, as a matter of fact, if you have not seen the documentary that's called The Astrology of the Pandemic, go see it. If you want just a really quick course to give you an overview of how astrology can work, it was on Prime. It's a really excellent show. And there was a Frenchman who predicted in the 80s, when he saw that lineup, he said there's going to be a pandemic, and because he'd gone back through and all the great pandemics had happened under that kind of auspices. So, so these 3 planets, when I heard about this configuration, because the node is not a planet, the node is a position in the zodiac. But ever since I started having, I had the same feeling I had about January 12th. And I certainly hope it doesn't lock us all down again. And I don't think it will. It'll be completely different. But it's really the ripping apart and it's pulling out all the gooey stuff and getting it cleaned out. Because I don't know if you've ever had an infection, but you got to get the gooey stuff out before you can.
You do. Well, the monkeypox thing is another thing that brings me to mind. They're talking that they should talk about it being a national health crisis, maybe not a pandemic, but
I think, and I'm not telling tales, but I think everybody that's in this discussion is old enough to have gotten smallpox, right? Smallpox vaccine.
Yeah, smallpox vaccination.
Oh yeah, I got that spot on my list to prove it.
Yeah, mine was on my butt. My father said, "You're not marking her arm forever. You got to do it on her butt." He was a doctor, but apparently that affords you a great deal of immunity from this. So it's the younger folks. It's the younger folks that are getting it.
Because they're not doing that anymore. They're not giving that shot.
No, they stopped doing it when my oldest son was the first year of 1975 was the first year of children that were not given it, because it had been eradicated.
Eradicated. Yeah.
Well, they thought,
Well,
except for the ones they kept alive, the samples
Sure.
kept alive
Right.
to try and make worse. Anyway, don't ask me about biochemical warfare. But so I think it's going to be something like that, but I don't think it's going to be in the form of a disease, and it may be just in the form of a complete awakening of consciousness. If you think about what is the power, because everybody makes Mars into a war planet, and I don't. I think it's a lot of energy. And
he's a planet. He's the planet of action. He controls air. It is sending out delivering, organizing everybody. Aries controls this part of the body. Mars is the ruling planet. This part of the body cannot feed itself. It has to signal to the hand. So it has to work in a corporation.
Conjunction. Yeah.
Everything in the body to make any kind
balance
of
it out.
forward movement. And I agree, Nancy, this is an alignment that is going to provide us historic changes. And the illumination that we felt in the 60s, lady 49er over there, fellow,
yeah.
you know, the Crosby, Stills and Nash songs, they couldn't get one of them wrong. The lyrics to their songs were so right. And in fact, this morning, another one came to my head, which fell in alignment with your topic yesterday with Jamie and Kelly. And that was, maybe it's because I had the flu for Christmas. It increases my paranoia. It's a song about where I almost cut my hair today, you know. And but the second verse was so appropriate to yesterday's discussion.
Wow.
So, and it goes right along with this alignment,
right?
And all the fear that we are suddenly coming out of. So a good thing to do with this full new moon right now in planting a seed is pulling out that inner warrior, truly letting go of the things that no longer serve you, you know, and you might even see it in your dreams. And then be able to materialize it if you're someone who, you know, remembers their dreams.
Oh, wow. Well, I want to give Deb a chance to get in here. She opened her channel, I don't know how many months ago, a couple months ago, maybe 2.
A couple of months ago. Not exactly sure.
Yeah. And for a long time wanted to find her place, you know, in the community, and is a wonderful storyteller. But I want you to also tell us how things have changed for you since you've had your channel. And most recently, as of the other day, what new thing that you've added to your learning, I guess is the best way to say it. Yeah.
Well, when I first started, I just started telling my stories. Before that, I was looking for how do I fit in? And I had seen Cash Peters do something, and I commented on his video, and he asked me, what did you learn? And I thought about that, and after ruminating on it for a week or two, I thought, well, that's what my place is. That's what I do. I can tell stories. And so that's what I did. That's how I started my channel, was to tell stories and look for the lessons, because that's why we're all here. Right. We're all learning lessons, and look for the lessons. And what did it mean when the story happened? What does it mean now to me? And what do the guides, the angels, source, whatever our higher power is, what do they say about it? So that's what I do. I tell a story, I say what I learned, and then I draw cards usually. And then I thought, well, now it's time to have guests. So I bring on guests 2 or 3 times a week and have them tell something they're comfortable with, whether it's a life lesson or a spiritual lesson. And we talk about that, and then we open up to anyone that would like to have a reading. And so I've been doing that, and it has changed over the time since I started.
Yeah.
I have found out that I can do more things than I thought I could, that I was closed for a long time, for about 38 years. And when I started to open back up, I'm rusty. I don't know. I don't remember what I can do. So I'm on an adventure exploring my gifts, and I don't know where they're going to go. We'll have to see.
Absolutely. But
You
the
know-
way that it's grown is amazing, really.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Diana. Yeah.
Well, there's a lady that keeps showing up behind her, and I keep
Oh.
telling her, go listen to her stuff, because there will be a lot of hints in there, and it's Dolores Cannon. Every time I see
Uh-huh.
Deborah, I also see Dolores,
Dolores.
Mhm.
Okay.
like right behind her left shoulder.
Okay. Oh, she's
and
fabulous. Yeah.
Exploring that, I'm looking for ways to find Dolores. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. All kinds of crone power here. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So for
ladies, I miss my purple hair. Trust me.
I found
my
it.
blue is
I
all gone
found it.
away. It just went
You
away.
found
It's
it?
fine.
I found it.
You found it.
I
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, when I was still working, I was Miss Frizzle, the Magic School Bus. I was the
Mhm.
Miss Frizzle of CPI. However, I had purple hair, because by then there was too much of this to keep trying to make it red.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, we're going purple because, it's trendy. And white line with the purple is good.
Right.
It is. And it keeps you young. It absolutely does. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely. And like Nancy says, you can be seen, because
Right.
so often this makes us invisible.
That's why
Right,
I
it does.
dyed. That's why I dyed my hair purple.
Right.
I just read an article about how gray-haired women, in particular, were like an invisible group in our society. And my hair is it's snow white more than gray. But anyway, I was standing in the Tom Thumb. This is obviously pre-COVID, which is a grocery store here, and a guy just ran his cart into me. I mean, and this is back when I weighed 300 pounds. So, I mean, that's a challenge to miss the 300-pound girl at the end of the aisle. and he hit me and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you there." And I thought, this was right before my 69th birthday. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm not going to be so I called my hairdresser, Carl, and I said, we're going to make my hair purple. He said, oh, thank God, finally. And he'd wanted to do this forever. And so I went in on my 69th birthday, and I use the kind of stuff that washed out. If I didn't color it every week, it would be gray again.
Mine's already all washed out.
Yeah. So, and I went, and I drive a bright orange car. So,
oh my.
So I stopped at the Costco to fill my tank up after I'd had my hair dyed. And you know how you can tell when people are staring at you, and I'm sitting there going, what?
Uh-huh.
And I forgot I dyed my hair, right?
Oh.
So here is a woman with bright purple hair. And when Carl does it, he makes it, it's called Regency purple or something. It's really
Mm-hmm.
and I'm standing there next to an orange car, filling it with gas at a Costco. But in the lexicon of Dallas, it's a more conservative area. So being there with purple hair is bad enough in an orange car. So anyway, and I had to get used to that because
now you're attracting attention.
Right. You know, and I mean, but it helped me for doing readings. I was doing readings at tables then. And I got a lot more young people who come up and they go, how can I get my mom to do that? It's so cool.
Yeah, that's really awesome. That really is. The other thing about, first when you told me you were invisible, because I've been invisible for a long time myself, especially on the college campus. But I was thinking that sometimes aren't we invisible because we're vibrating at a higher dimension than they are?
Yes, I agree with that, because they're invisible to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do not allow that 3D energy to drag me down. And if I'm
Right.
already in, like when you were talking about the chakras and how the chakras can change color, and when you're individuating a chakra, yes, it has a certain color, but when you're in a meditative state, it's
all one. It's white.
it all becomes one color.
Mhm.
And everywhere I go, I meditate, even if I'm in the grocery store and I'm
Good for
pretending
you.
to read the label. I'm really not reading the label. I'm spacing out on the colors on the box or something,
Right.
So
Right.
I end up in this meditative state and they become invisible to me.
Mhm.
And fox is also one of my totem animals. So perhaps that has something to do with it, because fox knows how to hide, knows how to be invisible in plain sight.
Yeah.
And so, I
Yeah.
mean, for whatever the reason is, I
Mhm.
think that, yes, we're up here.
Which
We've
doesn't
learned
mean
all
we're
the
any better than anybody. It just means we are
Oh,
more
yes.
aware of the vibration. Yeah.
Right. We learned the lesson at 34
Right.
with
Right.
the mom
Isn't
pushing
that
the cart with the kid in the basket and get your hands off of that, quit climbing out of there, tying them back down. We've learned that lesson. So we're moving on.
Mhm.
So the other day I saw a clip from Sheila Celtic Tarot talking about what's wrong with these people, why do they act the way they do, meaning the January 6th and the militia and all that stuff. And it just came to me, and I've been seeing a lot more than I usually see. This is where my monthly musing is on. I see somebody will say a deer and it will walk by my window. And then somebody will say this flower and it will be right out here,
Mhm.
So I was thinking immediately after she said that we cannot change those people because they operate at a lower vibration than we are. And that we just have to let them do what they have to do. And it's like a child. You can tell them not to touch the stove over and over and over again. But if they're determined to touch the stove, they're going to touch the stove, the burner. Any thoughts about that? Yeah. Any thoughts?
Right. Well, yes, I do. Because that brings us to the word judgment and the word expectation, because expectations leads to judgment, judgment
True.
leads to expectation.
Right.
And, we put a value on quality, whether we're purchasing something or we're having a relationship.
True. Yeah.
So how do we go through elevating ourselves, trying to avoid expectation and judgment, and not trying to avoid it, and still know when, okay, we can't trust that person, or no, we're not going to purchase from them.
It's just judgment.
Hire them again.
Yes,
Because we
yes.
have to use judgment in order to get to that point. And we have to use expectation of quality to put value on something we're paying for or something we're putting our trust and love into. So
Mhm.
how do we do that? And not judge, not expect, but still have to go through it, because we must do that and still stay up there in the 5D realm. How do we bridge that gap? What
I
is
think
it?
you have to acknowledge it. You have to acknowledge that it's there and that I had a friend that was a very good friend for a number of years, and she started to resonate at a lower vibration and get ideas that were contrary to where I was going. And one day I tried to cheer her up, and she blew up and got so angry at me. And I realized that's her path. It's not mine. I can't change her path. I can only tell her where I am and meet her where she is. So I acknowledged that she was on a different path than I was, and I ended up severing the relationship. So we're not friends anymore. And that was very painful. but
Sure.
it was necessary because she was being toxic to me. Now, I tried to keep judgment out of it, but I had to let her be her.
Right.
I had to acknowledge that we were not walking together anymore. We were walking apart. And once I acknowledged it and let it go, it was really painful, but I was then able to make progress. I don't know where she is on her path now,
Right.
but I had to let her be her. And I think that a big part of it's not judging, but just acknowledge that there's a difference. And if it doesn't fit with the way you're walking,
Mhm.
then you have to do you. You have to be
Right.
yourself. And if you have a certain standard of quality of life, quality of what you take in, and the kind of vibrations you allow around yourself, then I don't think that's judgment. I think that that's just acknowledging that someone else is walking their own path and
More
vibrating at
discernment. It's
So
more
it's
of
rec-
discernment.
Recognition.
Oh, that's it, Nancy.
How about
Yes.
that?
Yes,
Recog-
discernment. That's
recognition
exactly what it
of
is.
the action not resonating, right?
Yeah.
Recognition of an accent not an action not resonating,
Yeah.
not fulfilling a
Yes.
contract, not
Yeah.
fulfilling the description of what was going to happen.
Right.
Instead of expecting it, because there are times and people that I expect the worst.
You expect them to be a certain way. Yeah.
And they always deliver that. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, discernment is the frequency of discernment supports our ability to view the world and the people around us from a place of inner balance and detachment, yet with compassion and wisdom. And this is from the activations oracle, and I've built several grids built on discernment.
Oh, I was just thinking that would make a beautiful grid.
It is. It's and I just finished one, and matter of fact, the lady got it yesterday.
Awesome.
But the thing that this particular artist uses a lot of sacred geometry in her work, and as you see, discernment's a lot of threes. You can kind of see the big outline like a big triangle of bubbles coming together, and then at the very center she has that beautiful yellow gold. I found a beautiful piece of yellow calcite to put in for the focus point. But it's discernment is
and the yellow is the gut, right? I mean,
right. It's got yellow and green.
So it's gut.
Right.
It's your gut. Discernment comes from the gut.
So
What's that?
this is the companion,
Okay.
and this is the ancestor of skill. So skill is the companion to discernment, right?
Right.
Yes.
Discernment is the companion to skill, because it does take a certain je ne sais quoi on how to deal with people
Right.
who may not resonate with you any longer.
Right.
And Deborah, I'm sort of going through that right now.
I think we all go through it.
You're right.
We
And
all
this, right. These are, they're my in-laws, and my, most of you know the story about my husband and I had divorced in 2009, and he never had anybody to take care of him every time he got sick. And so in the end, he was dying of cancer, and so I was taking care of him.
Right.
Well, all of that activity reintroduced me into the lives of all the other Boleses.
Oh.
And they were welcoming me back, but they also walk a path I don't have.
Right.
In not just the political arena, although that's a part of it as well. And I've reached out to my best friend, sister-in-law of the time twice now. And leading up till now, we had been in touch with each other, at least once a month. And she hasn't returned my calls. So either she has her nose out of joint because they weren't invited to my son's wedding, but then nobody was because there were only 15 people there in the,
Right. Right.
siblings and parents only.
But people take it personally,
They do.
Yeah, you
know?
want to have your life fall apart, plan a wedding or a funeral. Everybody I talk to, man, these giant crises in their life, it's like, union or death.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And both of those came into play with this particular relationship. So
Sure. But it's interesting because compassion and discernment are very high energy
Mhm.
vibrations, but a lot of people that are, let's say, that don't understand that find that it's weakness, but I feel like it's strength.
Oh,
I feel like I don't, because I remember Barack Obama, they didn't like it because he was nice and kind and compassionate or whatever about other people. And there were a lot of people that didn't like that because he was a wimp. He wasn't like, Trump going out there and doing this and doing that. And yet that quality is so much higher. Yeah. The quality it takes a pretty evolved person to be able to be not only discerning, but also compassionate and understanding. So
I'm going to show you guys something fun. You can douse to gather your vibration.
uh-huh.
Those of
Oh,
you,
yes.
where did she go? This is this is
I
a
love
dowsing chart that Danny and I worked on, Danny Shea. And
Uh-huh.
he's a great graphics person. That's what he used to do for part of his life. It's a cool garden, and it says, do I have permission to douse? Already did that. Am I aligned with my higher self? Yes, I feel like I am, and I am fully protected. But you can do that by using the pendulum
Mm-hmm.
to find
Yeah,
those
we've
answers.
all got one, I think.
Okay, and it
Yeah.
says all
We all
three.
have one in our hand.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then on this chart, and this is how I've programmed it, from here, it's got a 10 on the outside to 100. Well, in my mind, I add a 0 on that, and I'm going to take my vibration from 100, hopefully it's as high as 100, to 1,000. And on the side here, we have that chart of what your numbers come up to be and how to read them.
Yep.
And the higher up you are, the better. The lower down, and the lower things are guilt, shame, that sort of stuff. But
Yes, power versus force, right? From
Right.
David Hawkins. Yeah.
And
Okay.
so when I was trying to figure out how to make all this work, dowsing garden, I want you to tell me what vibration level I'm on. And it hit to 100. So I'm at 1,000, which means fully conscious,
Okay.
which is always a good thing to do. But one time I was talking to some friends, somewhat like what we're doing now, but it was a Zoom call, and I was trying to explain and show them this stuff. And I got a scam call that the guy wouldn't quit ringing my phone, and it was making me nuts. It's one of those days when you can't turn your phone off because your kids might need to call you. So I finally picked it up and I said, hello. And they start, is this Miss Nancy? And I'm going, who are you? And why are you calling me? And why should I not hang up on you? And the guy got really snotty and he started swearing at me in Tagalog, which is the language of the Philippines. And I knew just, how when you learn foreign languages, you always learn those words. So
Those words.
I knew those words. So I let him have a few Anglo-Saxon expletives, and I hung up. And my friend said, "Oh, read your vibrations now," and I'm going to read what it did.
Yeah.
It went to 500. I lost 500 points by tying into that energy. So, but it really does work. And sometimes I'll wake up and I'll just like, can I get this day together? And I said, well, I'm just going to check my vibrations. And then if you meditate, you can bring it up.
But then, yeah.
And Danny said, don't do this after you've been watching the news. But that's a way you can kind of check for yourself, because I think, I spend a lot of time, I spend almost all my time in my house because I never go anywhere because I don't want to get COVID. And it's back in Dallas. They had 27 hospitalizations in the county hospital 2 days ago. They're now up to 45.
Wow. It's
So,
fascinating.
and this, for those who don't know, this is the garden. And what I'm going to do for us now, if you don't mind, guys.
Mhm.
No, please do.
Go ahead.
I throw 5 stones:
Mhm.
body, mind, spirit, values or grounding, and clarity. And those are the 5 stones. And they're fusite, orange yellow calcite, amethyst, pyrite, fool's gold,
Mhm.
and this is sodalite. And you're used to seeing sodalite real bright blue when they polish it up. I don't use polished stones, and you'll see why. Because when you toss polished stones on this thing, they
They slide. Yeah, they do.
go
Yeah.
everywhere but where they're supposed to go. Okay, so okay, garden, what do you see for the collective in the upcoming month? And that's a big question, I know, guys, but you know.
Do your best.
Okay, oh,
And the garden is good for time frames.
yes, this is winter, spring, summer, fall.
Okay.
So things that are happening here, there's 2 stones in fall, so it's gonna be, fall's gonna be, it's marking us into the fall.
Okay.
And I look at the layout, and first of all, if anything ever falls in the heart, this is another Vivian thing. If anything ever falls in the heart, you read that stone first. It sets the value for the whole rest of the reading. We don't have anything in heart. So, but what we do have is our clarities and the tree of life and the crown. And that's just gorgeous because
Perfect.
when the clarity is in, when a stone falls here, all becomes clear. And for the tree of life, your path is blessed with clarity and wisdom. I almost don't feel like reading the rest of the stones, but I will. Okay, then I'm going to come down to the mind and air. The center parts here, it's fire, water, air, earth. And air is things moving out in a thoughtful manner. Water is washing out in an emotional manner. Fire is past lives. And you're just the past, things you carry from the past, and it's fire. And earth is where everything emerges from. Fire is where everything gets purified. So, so we're in air for our mind, and that's actually a good place because your thoughts are all important. So keeping your thoughts together in the coming month is going to be really, really important. The body's kind of doing a weird thing. When things fall in 2 spaces, I have to read both of the spaces. I have to acknowledge them. Nothing makes it have to do this, but this says fast forward, physical changes are coming. Will move you to the next step. So you need to pay attention to what your body's telling you, but you also got false. And it's saying the same thing. Listen to your body for signals. So I think this coming time, that some of that shift of energy, some of that Mars is going to become embodied in our body.
That's what you just said too, Diana. You said, think twice, talk once.
Right.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Oh,
And then our spirit fell in 3 spaces: restate, past, and fire. And I can tell you all of those 3 are about purifying and getting to know things. And it has to do with our spirit. So for restate, you're going in the right direction, but you need to be very careful and clarify what you're moving towards. The past is, have you missed how much of your transformation has already happened? And you're going to find out it's a lot because your values are there. And then you touched a little bit into fire, and thoughts from the past could be clouding your moving forward. And that may be the struggle you're having back here. But our outstone, last one I'm going to read is the pyrite. And it's in the past too. And it said, look to the patterns up to now that have made you go forward. So this is telling you, this is think, and rethink, which we already got from Diana. And that's kind of a trip through the garden. So what I see as a whole thing is we have some brilliant things coming towards us. We just need to let ourselves be free to feel them.
okay.
And it's the release of the past that you should be doing now for this new moon 8/8 portal that has already begun. And if I might share quickly, I'll just sum it up as quick as I can. Because we're running low on time. I had a dream on the night of the 26th. It involves 45. And there is a sheriff running for Oakland County Sheriff, and he's a Trump backer. And this ad keeps showing up on my games that I play late at night while watching TV. So that was part of the prompt. How 45 is related to Epstein is a part of the prompt that is in this, brought this whole thing to light. So there is some history in my life that is hard to talk about. And this was the first time I've had a dream about it in years. But in this dream, I was not afraid. I was finding my inner warrior, my strength, that bringing out my inner dragon, being Diana the Wonder Woman. And I woke knowing that I can release this now. This thing that happened to me when I was 23 years old, I've been carrying with me for 50 years, even though living with it and functioning normally. And you know, but there's always this
niggling
poke,
yeah,
you know, just like, oh, I got to get another vaccination. Oh my God, poke me again. So to have that dream on that night of the 26th, knowing that we were going into this, knowing and recognizing the things that were prompting this particular dream. And you know me in a sketchbook in the dreams, right? And so there's like whitewashed cabins and I'm at the beach, but it's snowing and blah, 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 all this other stuff. So, but I knew because the minute I hollered, and it was like, I was like that banshee scream where the whole room opens up.
Yeah.
Like Seven in Stranger Things, when she screams and everything goes away except her and she shrinks back. I screamed, "Why do you think you're kidnapping me? Stop trying to kidnap me. You are not going to kidnap me." And by the time all of that had gotten out of my mouth, I was awake and I had never been afraid through the whole dream. And that's the first time where I can honestly say, wow, that haunted
healing. Yeah. Real
so
healing. Yeah.
To me, that goes with you're finding two pieces in that past there, and the fire and the whole thing from that section.
And for me, when we started our practice back in November, we had somebody complain about where we had worked before and sent a lying piece of information to the Department of Health. And we've been dealing with that now for a long time. And yesterday we got the letter that there was no evidence of any problem.
Did you look for your string?
I'm not up there, but I will when I go back.
Okay.
Because we did put a string underneath a brick. So yes, but so I'm trying to release that now that that's out of my life, you know, so well, I can see that happening.
I told her to tie a knot. Nancy, you probably know this old wives' tale. Deborah, you might as well. There's the witches thing. Tie a knot and rock in a cotton string. Put it under a rock. Well, I did it at the same time with her for the same intention, and I accidentally picked the brick up, forgetting what was under it, and the string was completely gone, and in its place was a nest of baby ants, you know, and they were, and I picked it up, but they must have knitted booties or something, because the minute I picked it up, they started scampering everywhere and taking all the eggs and moving them on. I quickly put it down and went, okay, let's just manifest new things for your husband's business, for your husband's, you know, practice, his practice.
Yeah.
And how fitting that an ant was, you know, a whole colony of ants.
Right. All the little workers, all the little people that influence our lives in time. It's like teeth represent, you know, details. And so do ants, I would say the same thing. Yeah.
Oh, busy. They were
busy.
Like,
yeah.
Who took the lid off of our hotel?
And God said, let there be light.
Oh, yeah. Not kind of light. These guys are still in gestation.
That's right.
But it was, you know, and when I
think it is wonderful.
Many people prayed for you when you've had these issues with your roof and this crazy lady. So, yeah.
No, this community's been fabulous about that. Really, really,
Right, you got the letter.
yeah. Well, let's wrap up. We have a few minutes left. Let's wrap up. Anybody got anything else that they would like to talk about?
Yeah, to go back to something we were discussing a little bit earlier.
Okay.
When I did a whole series of shows about 8/8 Lionsgate last year. And in the middle of that, I had a dream where we were all walking along on a road and then the road split. And there were people walking along the path with me on the road that I went on. And they were saying, oh, but I have to worry about this person. They're back here. And I said, if you cross to the other road, it's going to be harder to get back here. And that's all I remembered of the dream. And later on, I had a dream where we were all just ditching our backpacks because we didn't need what we were carrying in them anymore and we could move fast. So Danny and I did a show in the fall after 8/8 Lionsgate about how time seemed to be moving so much more quickly. It was
Right.
something both he and I had discussed. And time is moving more quickly. And one of the things that I've seen a couple of people who are looking at the Uranus-Mars conjunction, they said time's going to speed up even more.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, it's already so fast.
Oh, I know, it's so fast. I mean, I grew up in
Good.
the era, I grew up in a house for 14 years. We had the same black telephone.
Uh-huh.
That old
And the
big
same
white
little
telephone,
TV.
and just, and
Yeah.
now, you don't keep a phone for more than a year and a half. And my kids have never had landlines ever. The 44.
My kids haven't either. Yeah.
They're in the 40s and one's in their 30s, and they've never had a landline.
And
So-
here I have my old rotary phone. When I lived in Virginia, Verizon, the guts of this phone have been changed so that you can still use the rotary, but there's
It translates it into the
pulse
signals.
code.
Right,
There's pulses in there,
Right.
right?
right.
And Verizon supports that. Well, I
Good.
moved to Michigan and Verizon doesn't have FiOS here. You can't, they have a pact with Comcast in Michigan.
Oh boy.
So Comcast is solely who's up here. And in Virginia, you've got both of them. They're, competitors, but there's no competition here. It has to be Comcast.
So see, even the places we live have different, ways of doing things. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of going up, it was like going down.
Going back down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because there's no competition. There's, no, we don't do that. Well, why should I pay you $30 a month to have this landline when I can't call out on the phone?
That's right. That's
Mhm.
right.
So,
Well, anyway, everybody have a happy trail. Keep trudging forward in the direction you're going.
That's
Right.
right. And remember that everyone is supportive of each other, and reach out to people and, work hard on your own discernment so that you can come to a place where you feel comfortable, even though, like Deb says, and, that losing somebody that you've had forever, it's very difficult to let go of that. But at the same time, we have to take care of ourselves. So it's also a self-care issue.
and we should
Even if we
remember,
have to crawl, go forward.
That's
right. And we should also remember through this conjunction that's coming up, Uranus it likes to do things for the betterment.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not about blowing it up. Uranus likes to work for the betterment. And my Mars is in Taurus in the 8th house.
Mhm.
So if my Taurus says, I'm too old to do that. Well, he never says I'm too old. He's just like, I'll do it when I'm damn good and ready.
That's
So-
a Taurus for you.
He's going to be busy and he has been. I mean, I've been transplanting like crazy because one side of my house is like a field. And I just let the grass go because there hadn't been anything. It's just been too hot to mow, and everybody's got brown grass. I had beautiful white clover to look at. And then all of a sudden, I've got all of these wildflowers growing up. I have Shasta daisies growing up.
Oh,
I
that's
have
great.
cherry.
Yeah.
I have.
I saw that. I see that change happening too with my
Oh my God.
gladiolas. Yeah.
So this is what I've been doing, is taking all of those things and moving them to
replanting
the
them.
perimeter of my
There you go.
property line, so I can cultivate them so that they can grow to
Right.
what they should be, instead of being mowed over. Lord knows how many years those poor things.
And that's a metaphor for us too. Replanting for new growth to be where we should be,
Right.
and not plowed over. I love it.
There you go.
Thanks, ladies. Thanks so much. There you go. That's
Good.
right.
Thank you.
We hope to be able to do this again next month. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Have a great
Thank
day,
you.
everybody. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
ladies. Bye-bye.